Friendship and shalom and greetings to you all. Now, I hope you all had an awesome 10 days of awe. Let's have a quick show of hands. How many of you had people who came up to you and asked forgiveness? Not too many. Okay, did you grant it? Why not? How many of you went and asked another for forgiveness? Wow, that's all? Did you get it? It is amazing how few people avail themselves of this incredible opportunity to partake in a truly healing event, the forgiveness mechanism. There's only two biblical characters who ever did. And when you look at the events of their lives, the way the events impacted who they were, what they became, what happened as a result of their forgiving, you would think everyone would jump on that bandwagon. Now, those two were actually related. Esau, one of the most reviled of biblical characters, and Joseph, the great dream master. But of course, if you go back far enough, we're all related. That's why it's incredible that you do not forgive a part of yourself when someone comes to you, because we are all connected, and in forgiving another, you're forgiving yourself. Now, we read the Torah, the book of instruction. We do it every year, and we're about to start it again. It's not like a novel that you read once and put away. We read it with the knowledge of what's coming. But instead of ruining it, it is enhanced. We see it differently. We learn more. We understand deeper. We follow with just a little bit more appreciation and maybe a little bit more intention. And we will begin it again next week. But before we do, let's take a quick minute to highlight some of the amazing things we've discovered during the year we've been together on this great journey. We can think about these kinds of things, especially this week, while taking some time each night in our booths, our sukkahs. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on this journey. Maybe you skipped a few, maybe you listened or watched some here, some there. Maybe you stuck with me the whole year. Well, thank you for those who did, and for sharing your sacred time with me. So whether it was your first or your 3,000 and something time reading it, here's some of the great takeaways from this year and from any year from this book. Never judge by appearances, or as we like to say, a book by its cover. God does not judge based on looks or height or stature. God sees into the heart, as he did when he picked David to be king. And he knows the potential that lies there. Look into your hearts, my friends, and the hearts of those around you. Always strive to take the high road. Circumstances sometimes put us in a position to take revenge on slights that we perceive as having been done to us. But things happen for a reason. When you take the high road, you sometimes feel like you're losing a battle, but you're winning the war of morality. Third, it's safe to be emotional and to feel your feelings. Now, the great King David was the Bible's most prolific author, a warrior, a king. But we feel his feelings when we read the Psalms. He's the author of all the Psalms. And you too can see it's okay to let your feelings out. Our great strength is actually when we are most vulnerable. Which kind of leads me to the next one. The fourth, please do not worry what others may think. Trust yourself to know what's right. Trust others to know who you are, who you really are. And in trusting yourself, never be afraid to, fifth, think outside the box. Obvious solutions are not always the best. So do not be afraid to be creative. And finally, our sixth, love your family. Many in the Bible suffered at the hands of their families. And many of you may have suffered at the hands of yours. It's okay. Protect yourself, but do not judge. Be gentle with those you are related to. Sometimes it's in their own angers and fears that they are expressing themselves. Treat them with love, as hard as it may be. Now, it's Thanksgiving in Canada. It's always time to give thanks. And it used to be Columbus Day automatically in the US, but not everywhere. Columbus seems to have been erased or is being erased. I don't read the news as often as I used to, so I miss a lot of what's currently going on. But I do know that a lot of places it's not Columbus anymore. Now, maybe the Vikings are finally going to get credit for discovering North America, since there is historical evidence of them being here hundreds of years ahead of Columbus. And I'm sure they might not have done some, like not so nice things also, not realizing that times and mores change. And instead of finally learning to be non-judgmental, we've now taken to judge the past on a constantly changing present. Pretty tough on a go-forward basis. So maybe we should, have holidays not named anymore. Maybe they should just be numbered. Might make it easier. This way you never have to change anything. But Columbus was actually quite a fascinating figure. I'm not sure why he's been erased. Probably something to do with the indigenous population or bringing disease, maybe religious intolerance. I'm not really well versed in it. But do not forget his journey in 1492. It was the year of the Spanish Inquisition and, of course, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain. He might have been taking some of the local Spanish Jewish population away to safety. Now, there's fascinating connections to Columbus and his Italian connections, Spanish connections, and his Jewish connections. It's not to suggest he was Jewish himself, but people also seem to forget that his navigator was Jewish, and his charts were all written in Hebrew, and only he and Columbus understood them. And he had the complete trust and faith of Columbus. Now, it's not talked of much, but there are research projects out there examining some of these still hidden connections. Now, it's really quite interesting. And as soon as Yom Kippur ended, some, but probably not very many of you, got out there with your little hammers and started building your sukkahs, as we are now in the holiday of Sukkot. Gamar Chati Matova, you had a great final sealing. You're sealed in the book of life. You began this holy gathering festival as the seasons changed from summer to autumn. And with it, it's cooler nights. And it's always a sign that Sukkot's upon us when suddenly the fall's here. The summer sun is fading as the year grows old. Darker days are drawing near. The winter winds will be much colder. Now you're not here. Like a song through the trees came to the bay. Like a leaf on the breeze, you blew away. Now we've said goodbye to summer. It's blown away. We think of the fall, all it heralds, the harvest, Thanksgiving, preparation for the earth to sleep, to rejuvenate, to go through its own annual temporary ceasing. Now, Sukkot is one of the three gathering festivals that's called for, and it entails building a hut or a booth or a sukkot, which comes from the root word for covering, and spending the week dining and sleeping in it. And just as it is a festival of gathering, we gather weekly as a group of like-minded, like-souled fellows seeking unification of spirit. It's not a religious thing. It's a human thing. The collective consciousness of seekers coming together in a showing of faith, of love, a community, a chavura, a fellowship. As we express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes, unites us all in this community house of spirits. Once again, please to go ahead. Invite everybody, physically, psychically, digitally, socially, anti-socially, emotionally or spiritually, to gather and share. From Psalm 133, the Hine Matov, come together. Hine. Shevet Achim Gam. Hine Matov. Shevet Achim Gam. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. As a community, let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Now, friends, this is you setting aside just a little bit of sacred time in your own sacred space to honor and converse with whoever, whatever you happen to believe in. We all believe in something. It's part of your kavanah, your intention that you put out to the universe. It is your goodwill. Let's send some of that goodwill out to invoke healing and renewal for everyone. Floats through space. Finds those in need, so send it out for those you know and for the souls and spirits of everybody you love. So think of whoever that needs healing, renewal, and love, or just plain goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. Not just for people. It is for our pets. It's for the earth. It is the healing of the world, the tikkun olam, the healing mission that's part of our spiritual genetic makeup. Let's send thoughts and energy for health and renewal for everybody in need. For those in our hearts and minds, for Johnny and Fern. For William, Baruch Dayan HaMet. For Doria, for Jim. For Dave and Mookie. For Yosef. for Nina and Tally, for Diane, for the B. Friends, it is the kindness, the healing wishes, the goodwill and love we all send out. It just circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care. Because the world is a world of spirit, and spirit, my friends, never dies. May the swords go straight. Bless the ones there for us. Help us find the courage. Make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body. The renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Yishabera. Let's all of our spirits renewed. This is the great prayer for healing, which we call upon God to heal us as healed before Mishaberach, may he be blessed. Because healing is a blessing. So let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. And we share and care by inviting people to share our sukkots with us. I know people who relish the ability to engage in this holiday. It is their favorite. It's a wonderful holiday for the engagement of the imagination. It's a peaceful time. When you sit back in your booth, you share, contemplate life and all its idiosyncrasies. You truly do slow down as you look out at the moon and the stars. Would you like to swing on a star? Carry moonbeams home in a jar and be better off than you are? Would you rather be a imagination? You could be a mule, a pig, a fish, a horse, any of a myriad of God's great creations. The goal is to spend as much time as possible in the sukkot. Let your mind drift off. Depending on when it falls in the northeast, it can be easy or more difficult depending on the weather. I know very few people who take all their meals or sleep in the sukkot, but you could take a nap, look up to the sky. Now, one of my harshest critics, and therefore best teachers, pointed out to me that the transposing letters has major ramifications in Hebrew, as I occasionally point out, and I've pointed out several times during this past year. But they also reminded me that it also can in English. Transposing one letter in the word sacred gives scared. And we often have to choose one or the other. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. Scared. So scared. So scared. Every day of my life, I just managed to survive. I just want to stay alive. Now, that was written by a man who many thought was sacred, but was really quite scared. He had a birthday recently. Now look at the world today. Fear sells. Fear allows you to be controlled. You needn't succumb to fear, my friends, as we celebrate an opportunity every year to overcome fear. Do not let fear control you. But for this gathering holiday, it's a time of the year when we gather in our huts, our booths, our sukkahs, where we share our meals with friends. You know, perhaps these days it's fewer than usual because of what's gone on the last couple of years. We have these things we call the four species. We shake them in all directions. We celebrate the joys of all things that, we've talked about. Life, God, spirit, freedom, family, love. Those 6 things we've learned about, especially love. No matter what else is going on, my friends, there is always love. All my little plans and schemes, lost like some forgotten dreams. It seems that all I was really doing was waiting for you. No need to be afraid. No need to be afraid. It's real love. It's real. Yes. It's real love. It's real. Yes, my friends, real love, it is all around you. Take it in, give it back. As a people, we learned and have always perpetuated the joy of hospitality. That's why inviting guests into your sukkah is so important. It's one of the great unifying steps we take as a collective community, wherever we are in the world. Now, right now we've reached what we call the Chol HaMoed, the intermediate days of the holiday Sukkot, which really means covering. There are two Chol HaMoed, intermediate days during the year. Now at Sukkot and again at Pesach, Passover. Now, the reason they're called intermediate days is because they are in between the first and last day of the holiday. And as I said, this is many people's favorite. It's got a fascinating ritual attached. It is connected to the harvest, to the bounties of the earth, and to guests. So in many ways, it's the most complete holiday in terms of checking every box. You don't have to do any prayers per se. You don't have to suffer. You'll often hear this holiday of the Feast of Booths referred to as the Feast of Tabernacles. Sometimes, although rarer, it's the Feast of the Ingathering. It's a biblical Jewish holiday celebrated on the 15th day of the month of Tishrei. So it's 5 days after Yom Kippur. And generally, as I said earlier, you can count on the 15th of the month to be about when the full moon will take place. Most holidays are either the beginning or middle of a month, the new or the full moon. And this holiday is the celebration of guests, welcoming them into our homes, our booths. As the great poet Khalil Gibran said, if it were not for guests, all houses would be graves. This year, like last, many synagogues do not have the same, building of communal sukkahs, and so they're not encouraging people to come, to their sukkahs, but to have their own sukkahs. But each person must do what's best for them. Throughout the time, both as individuals and through group exiles or migrations, we're all contributing to the world through personal characteristics we've acquired as guests. It has always been by way of guests. We being them, we welcoming them. Loving kindness, strength, splendor, glory, holiness, eternity, sovereignty. All of these are from guests. We were homeless wanderers, and we learned to inculcate these characteristics in our lives from all the places we went and all the people we met. And so we perform a short ceremony to welcome the guests, real or imagined, which are usually referred to in Aramaic as ushpizin, which is simply the Aramaic word for guests. And on the first day, we would say, I invite to my meal the exalted guests, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Aaron, David. May it please you, Abraham, my exalted guest, that all the other exalted guests dwell with me and you. Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Aaron, and David. And on each day, a different one of the seven is singled out in order. That's often the case. As times change, customs change. And so of late, it's become popular in some circles to invite matriarchs and other important women of Israel as guests. Sarah, Rachel, Rebecca, Leah, Miriam, Abigail, Esther. And they'd either be paired with the men or be on their own. Now, I know you know all but one of the names, Abigail. She was the wife of David and considered one of the four most beautiful women in the world. I agree. And also one of the 7 Jewish women prophets. Now, I know most of you can only think of Miriam as a woman prophet, but there were others. Sarah, Miriam, Devorah, Hannah, Abigail, Huldah, and of course, Esther. The only one you really read about is Miriam as a prophetess. Now, the emphasis is on guests, and you get bonus points for inviting people who've never been in a sukkah before. Of all the Jewish holidays, Sukkot's the only one whose date does not seem to commemorate a historic event, which is quite interesting. And the Torah refers to it by 2 names, Hag HaAsif, the Festival of Ingathering, or Harvest Festival, and Hag HaSukkot, Festival of Booths, each expressing a reason for the holiday. In one case, a temporary dwelling, and in the other, the cloud that covered the people during the exile. Either way, it comes from the root for the word covering. On the first day of the seventh month, not that long ago, we had horn blasting and healing. Commenced the 10 days of awe. Judgment and introspection began, which led to the 10th day of the seventh month, the Day of Atonement, when the judgment was sealed. We are now told on the 15th day of the seventh month about this holiday. Leviticus 23:33. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, on the 15th day of this seventh month is a festival of booths. 7 days for the Lord. You shall live in booths 7 days. Every citizen in Israel shall live in booths, so your generations will know that I have had the children of Israel live in booths when I brought them out from the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." On each day of the holiday, it was mandatory to perform a waving ceremony with the 4 species. I mentioned them before. You hold them together and you shake them. There are 4 species of plants known as the arba minim, consisting of the palm, the myrtle, the willow, which form the lulav, together with the citron, the etrog. Now, of course, there's many theories as to why each of the species was selected, and one of them suggests they represent the makeup of man, and others suggest they represent the characteristics of man. The palm branch refers to the backbone of man, stands for uprightness. It can produce tasty fruit but has no scent, so it represents those who have knowledge of the law but lack in performance. The myrtle leaf corresponds to the eyes and signifies enlightenment. It has a strong scent but no taste, so it represents those who perform good deeds but actually have little knowledge of spiritual law. They just automatically do good. The willow represents the lips, the service of which is in prayer. It has neither taste nor scent and represents those who have no knowledge of spiritual law and perform no good whatsoever. The etrog refers to the heart, the place of understanding and wisdom. It has both a pleasing taste and a pleasing scent, representing people who have achieved knowledge of spiritual law and performed good deeds of whatever needs to be done. Your goal in life, of course, is to be like an etrog, but if you can't, governed by spiritual law and the power to do good, then be the myrtle, right? Because at least, it does good deeds without having knowledge. Knowledge can come later, okay? Just open your heart to good. You can always learn law. And we bring these 4 things together to remind us that every one of these people is important, that we must all be united. And when we engage in them, it sweeps the negativity away from each direction. It cleanses everything around us, because that's what we're doing. So if you don't have one, and some people get them, some people don't. I only know one person who actually went out and got all the pieces and made their own, which is fantastic, because that's what we used to have to do. But you know what? Get a broom. Because all you're doing, when you're doing this, you're sweeping in the 6 directions, the 4 cardinal directions, north, east, south, west, above and below. So you're completely sweeping away any of the negativity that was around you. And the 6 directions represent 6 emotions. The south represented kindness, the north discipline. The east was harmony, up above is perseverance. Down below, submission. The west was connection. When we bring the 4 species toward our heart, it's all about communication. Now, according to the Kabbalistic explanation, after each movement, the lulav and etrog are brought towards the heart. It's like fishing. You cast out and you bring in. Each time the motion of shaking, casting and drawing in, casting and drawing in. You reach and draw in, reach out, draw in. I don't fish. I know people who do. There's also a chant of praise, which comes from the Psalms. And it comes from pieces of a whole bunch of Psalms that we know David wrote the Psalms. And it's from 113 to 118, and it's known as the Hallel. And it calls for praise and thanks to God, as is usual. And the lulav is also waved during Hallel, while saying, Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasdo. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever, which it does. The good endures forever around us, my friend. Now, while many consider this a harvest festival, it's other things. The normal harvest had already taken place, might even be finished. So it's all about the cleansing of what's left from those 10 days of awe. We take these 4 species to sweep away from all directions the remnants of any of the negativity that we were so busily cleansing ourselves of and atoning for during those last 10 days. And yes, my friends, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light, and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, an end to terror and hatred. Remember, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let's all send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationship of your lives. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy this journey, because we take the twists and turns in the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now, bless you all. Have a fantastic week. A week of love and light, a week of peace, a week of miracles. Examine your intentions. Use them to imprint your will on the universe, because we set in motion everything that happens in our lives. Our intention, our kavana, our cause, our effect, everything's linked. You always have time to forgive and to be forgiven, because you have the knowledge of what's good and bad. So acknowledge what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged. Ask forgiveness. Do so with sincerity, accountability, vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you. We should learn to be forgiving and compassionate, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is in acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people in the world, just as they are? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey, my friends. And remember to have faith. It's an unwavering adherence to principle. And never follow fear. Follow love. It's always in front of you. Right? Act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish everybody. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace in this year. May you nurture kindness and love everywhere you go. Work to be present in the body. Expand your heart. Quiet your mind. The deepest source of your real power, it lies in your consciousness and your ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all of life's circumstances. Make the most of your time in life. Continue to touch and transform lives around you, because you are never alone. You're forever blessed with the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So you can transform negativity to positivity. Your words are your power to transform, to love, to bless. So be generous. Bless others. Bless yourself. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. And love with the heart, because we're all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger. And be there for someone, because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. Continue to explore faith and belief, and never accept shame as a natural state. Whatever you feel others have felt, whatever you've experienced others have too, we share together, we learn together, we help each other, because we are each of us trying to find love and acceptance and support, and we all have or could have that special someone in our lives. Find them, tell them what they mean, and remember, you're never alone on your journey to your promised land. Watch your words. They can hurt you, they can heal you, they can imprison you, and they can free you. They can do it all. But keep forgiving those you need to forgive, and keep asking forgiveness from those you need to ask forgiveness of. And remember, you're spending a week in your hut. You've got your lulav and your etrog, your little broom if you want. Take a little whisk broom out. And think about what you're doing. You're casting and bringing into your heart. And that's allowing you to just think about life. There were two old middle-aged men. They were sitting in the corner bar. They were lying about what wonderful lovers they are. Bending each other's ears, bending their elbows too, holding their arms apart the way that fishermen do, singing, you should have seen the one that got away. Yes, my friends, you should have seen the one that got away. Have a fantastic sukkot. Enjoy the sky. Invite a guest. Shake the six. all 6 directions. Clear away the remnants of whatever you cleansed. Shabbat shalom, blessings to you all. And when we get together next, we go back to the beginning and begin the Torah again. Thank you. I'll speak to you soon. See you next week. Bye.